This video is going to show you solo Grandmaster Nightfall on the weekly featured strike this week, which is Corrupted. So I'm going to focus on this video for Warlock mains. This is specifically for Warlocks because I figured that would be the first class to cover for Corrupted. I will do overruns this week probably, but if you're like impatient and you want to see a different class now, then just check. I can link a Titan run if you want and a Hunter run for Corrupted, because even though the weapon mods are different to what it was in previous seasons, it doesn't matter, the same strategies. There's a lot of useful information. It's not like Corrupted is a completely different strike just because there's different weapon mods. So if you want a Titan run, I can link it. If you want a Hunter run, I can link it. But that's why I wanted to do a Warlock run. You don't see a lot of Warlock Corrupted solos. Why is that? Well, because I think they're definitely the weakest class for Corrupted, for the solo. Devour Voidwalker is really good. You'll get some clear potential out of it, yes, but there's better survivability, I think, in this one, with Sunbreaker, Laurel Splendor, or Heart of Inmost Light on a Sunbreaker all day. That's my favourite class for Corrupted. And then if you want to be ultra safe, you can't beat a Night Stalker Void, can you really? Super effective, puts out the damage, got the survivability, it's got everything that you want. What's Warlock got for this? Arc 3.0, there'll be people that do it with Arc, but Arc's super weak for this. So what's effective? What's effective is well, because there's critical moments in Corrupted where you need that survivability, and well provides that. Stasis Warlock is definitely possible. Any class is possible, but I'm not recommending it over what I'm using right now with the Starfire protocol fusion grade setup. So you just saw a few moments ago, because it's hard to commentate on everything, you know, going on at once, but I just took out a champion from this ledge area. Learn that ledge area, because if you do that, it means you can easily take out the Overlord champion whilst the sniper's alive. Because what you need to understand is, if the sniper's still alive with the Overlord, if you kill the sniper first, the Overlord backtracks to the Acolytes. And then the Acolytes all have void shields and they get away, you know, of your stuns and stuff like this. And if you kill too many Acolytes, you get a second spawn of enemies, like you see here. Now, why have I got another spawn of champs? Like, I've got an extra, I have to kill now an extra champ than usually I would have to. Why? Well, because it's very interesting why. I've had to rewatch the video 2-3 times to find out why. Remember the Scorn champion that spawned in? There's two mages and one red bar. Those enemies melted enough Acolytes to tick box the next enemy wave, because the enemy waves are linked to Acolytes defeated. The Scorn have done too much of a good of a job of killing the enemies, and yeah, so basically the tip is, if you don't want to have to kill an extra champ, is clear out some of those initial Scorn enemies, but don't take too long. If you take too long, eventually the sniper gets killed by the Scorn enemies, right, or falls off map, and then that redirects the AI of the Overlord. This sounds more complex than what I'm explaining to you, but in essence, you've only got a short period of time to take out that Overlord on that rock. That should be your second priority after that Scorn champion right away. You are timed from there, yeah, because it's weird. Once the sniper goes, the Overlord wants to hug the Acolytes, so don't let that happen at all costs, because it's a nightmare when that happens. It's a very simple thing that I'm saying, but it saves you so much time. So the elevator is very punishing without being invisible and stuff like this. That's why Night Stalker is so good in this room. So what you want to do is take out the initial spawn with a grenade and with a horde. Do enough ag clear. You can't play too passive, but once the ultras spawn with the shields, come to this location and crouch. You must crouch for the phalanxes to slowly walk towards you rather than running. This will change the AI of the phalanxes, because don't forget they have an opportunity. Sorry, they can actually one-shot at any point. They can physics you into a wall. Phalanxes are very powerful in the game, so you need to take those out as soon as possible. That's why the Well of Radiance comes in super handy. That's why I'm recommending it. It's so good for the elevator. Now, a Roman suit will be good, you know. the thing is, Daybreak's in a real bad spot at this minute, and I would actually be recommending Daybreak, the Roman Solar Super, but it's that bad, I'm flat out just not recommending it, because I really do like a Roman Super in Corrupted, just because of all the damage resistance it offers. Like Sunbreaker, for example, an exceptional super in this. You can survive a lot. Sounds are an issue in this, so having good ad clear to negate duplication of Scions is a must in your setup. So what I'm doing here, I'm playing slow. Well, no, I'm not. What I'm doing is securing round 2. I'm making round 2 more consistent. So this way, you can super phase 1 and phase 2 of the elevator. Wells for both phases, because both phases are that dangerous that you may need a well. Like, if you weren't going to do that, then you may as well pick a Roman super or something. Yeah, but it's a case of there's a brief window of time to kill those Scions before the shields come up. You must do it like as soon as possible. If you don't do that, your successes of clearing the elevator phase are low, because then you're gonna have 3 mages all shielded with Scions getting they're duplicating in the background, causing you problems. This is why we've got a well here, just to secure. The well ain't going to do much for me, but what it's going to do is help me tank some a little damage and secure any Scions that may have been still alive. Now, to be honest, my eye clear was decent that time, but it ain't always as good as that, depending on the groupings of the Scions. Yeah, if you let some of them get out at the back and some loose ends, then when you do some map rotation now, like what I'm doing, you start getting the Scions shooting you in the back, and then it's a wipe. It's literally probably going to be a wipe for you. For you to survive it and come through it, there's low chance of it unless you're a really good player, because they're just going to keep duplicating while you're trying to take down shields and all this stuff. So make sure that your nades are on point and that you get as many signs as possible whilst your well radiance is up. Once you've done that, you need to be on shield duty, right, with the orbs. There's a couple of rules that you must follow to get this done without invis and not being on a Titan, because let's be honest, Titan's like for me, it's the prime class for this. Like Solar Titan, Mini Thrown Hammer, it's the prime class. Best movement, good survivability, super's amazing. Warlock not as good. Warlock not as good as the Titan, but you can still make it work, and that's what I'm doing this run, is making it work. Your Arc Burn is on for Corrupted, right? We all know this, but you need to take note of what ads are actually doing Arc, because there's not, like the Knight's doing Solar and Stasis, yeah? So the Knight's not dangerous, and Solar Knight's got nerfed. That attack was nerfed ages ago. If you remember in Prophecy when it first came out how much of a problem Solar Knights were, yeah, they're not a problem anymore. Why? Because the radius of their solar attack has been nerfed a long time ago. Last time Corrupted came up, I think, I was talking about this subject, I remember talking about it. So it's before then. I don't know when. I'm not going to look on the patch notes right now because I haven't got time to do all that. But it's happened. The reason being is because they changed them to stasis, so they're giving them 2 abilities whilst sort of balancing the enemy type. They don't tell you stuff like this in patch notes, and they should do. So they balance the Knights. So the Knights, it's the phalanxes. You need to manipulate them and jump over their heads, because when you're within a 2-meter radius of a phalanx, they'll want to shield bash you. That gives you that brief moment of time to jump over the heads, 360 turn. Right, I didn't do it there. 360, I did before. 360 turn, hit them in the back with the orb, and keep running. It's only 2 orbs per shield break. That'll help you if you've got a paddle controller, by the way. Well, it won't, but I'm using one now. Obviously, I bought that new one, which, by the way, is very good. Might not be worth the money, but if you can get, if you're into it, and you're into console and you're into paddle controllers, it's probably your safest bet, because you get the 1-year warranty with it. Scuff controllers, it's 6 months warranty, I believe. I wouldn't trust like a Scuff. Like, just a little thing on that while I'll go back to the run. Just one last thing. They use second-hand parts, Scuff and all this stuff. Don't trust any third-party developers. Like, only like maybe Battle Beaver or something. But if you want a paddle controller, just buy the official one. You pay a little bit more, but you know what you're getting. And there's things that you can replace on them if they break, so you don't have to buy a new controller, the stick modules. So the Unstoppable isn't there, so what's happened? The Unstoppable has actually, in my mind, probably teleported behind that wall. Why? Well, because I cleared out too many of the ads. Champions seem to have this sort of mechanic where if there's not a lot of ads surrounding them, they back up or stuff like this. So this champion's backed up. It's unstartable. Probably because the champ didn't see me as well. That's another fact. If the champ instantly see me, then this would be a little different. So I'm manipulating this Shrieker. I'm manipulating the distance of the Shrieker. Notice the Shrieker never shot back. Why? Because there's an exact distance that I've worked out where you can actually open the Shrieker up and the Shrieker won't push. That won't shoot you, sorry. So just take note, it was a couple of meters before the stairs. If you go any closer than that, you're going to get shots. And there's a risk of dying because the Shrieker's melting this. I mean, they are void. So they're not doing arc, but they're still melting. So this knight, like knights don't, boomer knights do not underestimate. Because it's arc burn, their boomer shot does huge damage. So I would peek around that corner, do a Witherhoard shot, stick first maybe, then peek around with that full HP. Always keep an eye on your HP. Shield break with the linear, because obviously we're using an arc linear. I know that might seem a waste of heavy to some people, but it's not really because of match game. I know match game's getting removed and all that stuff, but right now match game's still in the game, so you've got to play by the rules at the minute. And it would just be a little bit... We have got weaken clears and all that stuff, yeah, so Witherhoard would eventually penetrate the shield, but you'd increase risk of getting hit by the knight and stuff. So it's worth just to break shield. Like right now I'm going to break shield because this knight's just been a pain, so I may as well. The thing about the knights is that the red bars and stuff like that, they'll shield after so long if you haven't like staggered them. Witherhoard will stagger them back if you didn't notice. It staggers everything if you notice, because it's obviously unstoppable GL. Now we're missing our shots here. This is bad. This is poor shots. Promise to get better shots later on now. So this, I don't like this position because I wasn't willing to one cycle the champ because I haven't got a lot of heavy at the minute. So I'm doing some ammo management. So I got the stun with a horde grenade and then jump up to a different location that I know that I can control the champ better from. So I made that decision there because of ammo purposes. 7. But remember, if you were keen-eyed, there's 2 bricks in the elevator. I'll pick them up later. I'll go back for an ammo run. So I do an ammo run after 2 shriekers and all the knights are killed. I don't go to where the ogres are. Whatever you do, don't, because the ammo will be lost. Well, it should be lost, yeah. It'll be lost by then. So just do an ammo run because you're going to need plenty of heavy for the double ogre section. I'm going to try and get this knight, but he just gets around the corner before. We're using the Staccato Solar Scout Rifle. It's a world drop, I believe. You get these all the time. You can get adaptive munitions on it. You can get explosive payload. I would probably recommend either explosive or adaptive. Adaptive would be good, right? Because there's some void shields that are annoying. And this scout would help you with that. But what else? What's the con to that? Well, the con is it wouldn't be as reliable as on overloads. It might not stun overloads as well as the explosive one. Well, it doesn't, and it'll do less damage. So there's pros and cons. You've got to pick. What's annoying you more, overloads or match game shields? To be honest, probably overloads would be more annoying. So specking more. I would spec for explosive in this, but if you want to use adaptive munition scout, you can do. I wouldn't say no to it. I wouldn't disagree with you. So there's one last streaker here. We'll use a bit of cover anywhere we can. I didn't want to waste heavy on that knight, but I probably should have done, because again I underestimated the knight a little bit because he's finishable. But first I'll just deal with the streaker. 1 with a hard shot won't kill, but 2 will if you've got weak and clear on and solo operative. Our build, by the way, which I'll talk more about as we go through it, is a high energy fire charge with light, strike and light setup. So if those that don't know what strike and light does, when you charge with light and you're running, you gain damage resistance. Arc resist on the chest plate, because I've got an arc Starfire on, that will gel with the secondary perk of strike and light. So you need to make your chest plate arc no matter what. It's very easy to do, just an upgrade module cost, because you need double arc resist in this. because of how the final boss works, you must run double arc resist or one arc and one concussive. Your choice, up to you. They're both good because concussive's going to help you defend against a whole array of things in the game, but then double arc resist will double up on arc. So like it's up to you choice wise. Those are your options. Up to you. I would say maybe double arc. So we fill back up on ammo and with a horde of course as well. That's really important. And we're going to get to the double ogre section. So when Corrupted was first introduced to champs, there was champs all over the spot, and we didn't know what champs to kill for platinum rank, and platinum rank was bugged, champs were falling off the map and all this stuff. It's not like that nowadays, right? It's more streamlined, which is good. There's only one hive unstoppable. He can spawn right, middle or left. I stand at this location to find out where he is. He spawned right, luckily for me, so I'm going to spam heavy. I recommend that you try and one cycle this champ. It will save you time in the long run if you do it, because if the unstoppable de-aggroes when you go to the Nether realm, Taken realm, which the champ will probably, if he's a far away distance from you, it's going to be a bit of a find and search quest to find that unstoppable, and it's going to be annoying to you because you want to get that unstoppable hive ogre for platinum, and if you don't get plat. Well, sometimes you do because it's weird in this one, but obviously you want to kill that one, so you're best off as you come here, try and melt that unstoppable down as soon as possible. Obviously don't get hit by the ogre and all that stuff, so you need to take all that into account, but you shouldn't because the ogre's just spawned in, as in the VIP target. Once you do that, then you're going to obviously keep rotating between the realms. There is a no teleport glitch. To me, I don't think you need it, but it is handy here and there. Because basically you can stay in one realm, you just crouch, and you can crouch on these stairs. I actually end up pulling it off, you'll see in a bit. I actually end up testing it out myself, and it's alright, but you can't move. You're stuck in one location, so once you start to move and all that stuff, you teleport anyways. So to me, just play it as it is. Play from the stairs. The ogre can't hit you from here anyways, so you're completely safe. So you can do the no teleport glitch if you want, but like I say, if you play from here, it's fine. Don't kill the Taken ogre before the hive ogre. Biggest tip. If you do that, you've messed up, because you're gonna miss out on the Taken champs. There's 2 Taken champs in this realm that you need to take out. So your next goal is to take out the ogre. So if you could do the no teleport glitch right now, it would be handy, providing that you can see the ogre, and just use your scout. I think I ended up trying it. So you're meant to crouch up against like the stairwell and just stay still. See it's worked. So I move up a little bit, start shooting, teleport. So yeah, it's finicky. I'm not a fan of it. So that was actually my first time using it, because I saw videos about it in the past and stuff. I was aware of it, but it's not gaining you any benefit, is what I'm trying to tell you. Just play the game, just shoot the ogre, use heavy, speed it up. I could pop a well and push up. See, what's the problem with here is the bridge is in the way, so all my fusion grenades are going to miss the ogre because of the bridge. So I'll use a bit of linear. I mean, I'm short on linear, but it's not a problem because you want to save well, because you want to use your well on the double Taken champs. In my opinion, that's more important, because the ogre's just stood still. You can take down the ogre with your scout, but you can't take down the champs with your scout, can you? So you've got to look at it. Now what we need to do is come into this room here and aggravate the champs. Do not kill Taken ogre, because all enemies will despawn. This Solar Knight's pushed, which is rare occurrence. If that happens, use everything you've got to take out a nade with a horde, because that knight will get in your way. I've never seen that, to be honest. The knights don't generally push like that. Only one ends up pushing. So the unstoppable is pushed. We're going to use a well here because I actually got bumped behind that wall. So I thought the unstoppable de-aggroed, hadn't. That's good. So we'll get our stun. We'll go back into our well. We will not be one shot by these, especially in a well we won't. And just use everything you've got. Try and take out the unstoppable as quickly as possible, because you want to aggravate the next one. Sometimes it pushes a 2, but that wasn't my RNG. So my well's still up, or it's just run out. I'm not getting our stuns. So back up. We've now got our stun. So I don't know what that was. Maybe I didn't have my Unstoppable GL mod properly activated. Maybe to swap to Quake or something. Once you've done that, you can clear out the taken Ogre. So there's no requirement to kill Void Shields, Solar Knights, because there's so many adds in this. There's so many adds that you might think, oh well, this is overwhelming. I'm not even halfway through. I've got to clear out all this room and all these triggers. No, you don't need to do all that. Again, you're here for platinum rank. You're not here for score rating and stuff. So just clear out the 2 champs, then the taken boss. All enemies will despawn in their taken realm, but the shriekers will not. Now, when this first came out, shriekers would detect you, even when you walk past like this. Again, that was another minor change that they'd done at some point. You can just walk past them like this, look. Pretty simple. Walk through the portal, and then that's the taken realm done. You won't see that again. Well, you will, but not here. Now we're back to this realm here. You want to aggravate again. You do that by showing yourself to one of the champs. Line of sight. Try not to aggravate both at the same time. You can multitask though with Witherhoard, of course, but try not to. So look, I'm aggravating the left one because the right one is weak anyways. So I've isolated them away from each other very easily. Not using any heavy. I've only got 2 shots anyways. So this now is really relying on Witherhoard weak and clear and some nades here and there. But the champs are going to go down really quick, which is why Witherhoard's probably best in slot for this. It really is. There's no other weapon currently for Corrupted that's better on a solo basis. There isn't one. Not even Anarchy, because Anarchy's like, well, it will be next season, won't it? Well, Nightfall, but right now this season there's no other better choice than this. And Corrupted is more of a serious GM. It's not where, you know, I mess around in it like I do in some of them. It's not like Warden or Insight. Like they're easy clears, all those. Exodus Crash, easy, Inside Terminus, all that stuff's like. Corrupted's a different category altogether. Even at -25, not even discussing -40. It's like in a different category. So is Glassware, Lightblade is, and Birthplaces to a degree. You know, so you've got to use a bit more of a serious loadout on these. The Void, one of the Void shields is pushed, which is perfect because obviously it's match game. So the fact that the Void shield's pushed mean I can use Witherhoard and some nades and quickly melt down the stasis enemies, because they do stasis. They usually hang around on the left and right rock area, right? So they're a bit of a pain to deal with, honestly, more so than the unstops. But just leave the Void shields till last, well, not till last, but after these unstoppables. Your goal right now is just on these unstoppables first. Don't get caught by the freezing stuff though, obviously. You can easily avoid it, to be honest. It doesn't really track you. Well, it does track you, but it doesn't like, it's not like a Revenant Super where it put, like it starts to mini track you. It does a little bit sometimes, but it's nothing major, honestly. Final unstoppable is weak. I just keep looking to the left noise just so that there's nothing going on with that Void shield. So we've got a good stun there. Now we'll deal with the Void shield. How you do that, I wouldn't recommend doing it from the steps, because what's going to happen, you know what's going to happen. The shield will be nearly down, and then the enemy will creep around that little area and say, no, I'm hiding. I want my shield to recuperate. Because that's something built in the AI of shielded enemies, to hide when their shield is down or almost down. So it's been a thing since day one that. So your goal is to melt down up here, because you can get a good Witherhoard shot easily and nades and stuff. Just melt down that shield as best as you can, because you don't want those enemies up while you deal with the 2 overloads. So there is some Thrall at the bottom. Don't worry about those Thrall unless you're desperate for ammo, then start taking them out. But just leave the Thrall. We're going to deal with the 2 Overlords on a elevated area. Both left and right champions will come below a cliff area. Generally. But there is sometimes a little trick. Because when you kill one of the Overlords, sometimes the other Overlord will try to ambush you. And that actually happens to me, which is... I have had it happen to me in the past. See, I don't forget little things like this. I don't forget things like this that happen in the past, because you remember it for another time. And funnily enough, it did happen the same thing. The Overlord ends up walking up these stairs, jumping round the rocks where I was, and then tries to, as I say, ambush me. Because what I was trying to do was actually the same thing that the Overlord done to me, is come up here. Generally, what I do, I'll shoot down here, where these rocks are, and this Overlord will loop all the way around to this rock area. Because that isolates the champ from the major. So I saw some stasis flying about there. I'm like, what's going on here with this? But yeah, the Overlords actually went up them stairs. And it's actually going to jump all the way up there and then down here. I like this. Oh no, it's going to happen now, is it? No, that's the VIP. See, look at that. That's actually really good. Like, I know I'm actually guilty of calling champs. But that right there, AI of that enemy there to do that. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that in the game. You know, these champs seem to be better. Like, these seem to be a bit more smarter than the other champs. So maybe, I don't know, have a look at the other champs and what they do. Because Unstoppables are really bad. They're dumb. They don't know, they don't understand stairs. They don't understand that they can jump. They don't understand the corner of maps, walls and stuff. So then it results into this passive style play style where you can manipulate them, which I've mastered and learned it, by the way, obviously for good reason, because I've played GMs for years now. But yeah, there's not a lot of skill to that. Once you've mastered it, you understand that. It's like, yeah, it's a bit dumb, and that's what I've said. The AI of champs isn't quite there, but what just happened there with that Overlord was fantastic, and I want to see more of that where enemies ambush you and do stuff like this. So this is another little trick that I learned. What you do is you stun the champ and then hide behind this block. The champ, it's like a book, will actually come and then fall off. Watch this. There you go. So the champ does this. I don't know what it is, but you need to do it as you initially get here. It's like some sort of weird bug or something. But what it does count for platinum, because I've seen other people do this as well on other people's runs. So it's not just a me thing or a console thing or whatever. It's an actual thing. The champ will just fall off map. But make sure you try and tag the champ as soon as you get here and then hide. Yeah? I think because the champ hasn't got it coded to sort of know that this area you can fall off. Sort of thing. So we had problems with that champ falling off. Or it wasn't that champ, it was the one down below. So they added an extra one, I think, as a fail-safe for platinum, I think. There's been a lot of history and controversy with this actual Nightfall with platinum and stuff. So this section's a little hard because I haven't got adaptive munitions, which I said earlier that would be a good choice. So it's making... So now you're seeing me struggle a little bit with the void shields, and I'm on that rock, nearly fell off, but I'm good. That's why you run Icarus Dash. By the way, you definitely run Icarus Dash for this. Don't be running... I don't know what the other one's called. I forgot it. Heat Rising. Do not use Heat Rising in this. It's a big mistake. Touch of Flame, Icarus Dash. The reason for that is because Icarus Dash can counter the boss's attack. And you may need it. Seriously, trust me. Don't run Heat Rising. I know there's some little builds with Heat Rising and all that stuff. But you don't need it. You've got to build. You've got Starfire. Starfire is your build. Just put on that Touch of Flame. Put on your fragments that you enjoy. I've put on the fragments I enjoy. Might not be best in slot, but they're good for stats. Like Ember of Wonder, yeah, it generates orbs. I haven't got it on for that. I've got it on for plus 10 resilience. So then my stat distribution's far better. And this will help people with lower tier armor. Not that mine's low. I have really good armor on the Warlock. And I've got armor from years gone past. So I know I've got good armor. I shouldn't be doing YouTube if I didn't have good armor. So I do realize that, but it just means that you can run like good splits, like tier 10 Resil, tier 10 Discipline, and then a high recovery stat, which Warlocks need. If you can get 10, 10, 10, do it. But just know that in GMs and Nightfalls, a lot of mod sockets get took up that prevent you from running quad and triple stats. So like all these players that make these quad stat videos, yeah, but they're not solo and GMs, are they? Look at all the good solo GM players. Have they got quad stats? No, because you've got things like Strike and Light that cost 5, Unstoppable GL that cost 7. So you can see how the list goes on, and it hits. It means that your stat distribution, you're not just specking for that. That's one thing that you do spec for, but that's not your only fort. Your other forts are, can I survive at the boss? I need a build for that. You need a build for so much stuff when you're solo to tick a lot of boxes. That's why it's always fascinated me in the past. Yeah, because in team play, I love team play, and you know that, but it is a little bit brain dead, and the game's got a lot easier. And the only time team play is worth playing, in my opinion, is day 1 raids. That's it. That's all I look forward to team play, and everything else I couldn't care less. Day 1 dungeons as well. Everything else, no, there's no challenge. So that's why, the solo, it's interesting because you've got to actually think about what you're doing. You can't just, you can't just put on anything, and well, you can. I've proved that you can do that as well. You can run unique loadouts in GMs. Done that for a long time. This isn't as of unique as I could go, right? But it's on Warlock, which is interesting because a lot of runs, you search them up, see how many runs you find. They're all Hunter. And Titan as well, but I don't mind that. I don't mind Titan being good in this. Arc Titan's really good in this. Splendor's really good in this on Sunbreaker. Personally, I would probably go, I don't know, because Thunder Crash is really good on the boss. It's really good for just getting rid of captains and stuff like this and doing extra damage to Cydia. But Sunbreaker's got that survivability and really good ag clear for Scions. But like I say, I've already done the Titan run. Not this season, but I obviously will do it this season as well. But I've already done it in the past. And the strat's similar to what it was then. Nothing's changed. Just the weapon mods slightly. But we've got favourable weapon mods, to be fair, this season. So this Overload here, you need to take out the sniper first. Do not deal with the... I mean, if you could, try and get a nade on the Overload to kill... to have splash damage on the sniper to kill the sniper. That didn't happen for me because the sniper bubbled just before he died. So I had to take my time then. Right, that's fine. Let the bubble disappear. Then get that sniper. Then you can deal with Overload. Don't have that sniper up because you are too shottable. So one shot you're in the red, another shot you're dead. And if the Overload enrages, you're definitely dead. If you get hit by that splash damage. So these taken overloads are different to any other taken overload that I can think of. Well, and not just taken overload, but I mean overload champions in general. Because when you hit them, they still attack you back. Because obviously, like it's different, isn't it? Because with overload shot, it's not like overload shot on a bow where it's a one hit, one thing and done and stun. Scout's a little different. Hand cannon's a little... Well, hand cannon's... No. I think hand cannon's... We haven't had overload hand cannon in ages. But with overload bow, you're going to get them to not initially enrage on you. Whereas with the scout, they will on that first shot. Because technically the first shot's not overload rounds. It takes the 2 or 3 shots, then they're stunned. An explosive payload will make that more consistent as well. So you've got to be ready for that initial blast that they do, and then after that they won't, providing your timing's good. So for this first wave of the boss, phase 1, you want to get a fusion grade down, you want to get a well down, and you want to play passive aggressive. So you've got a well in aggressive place, but you're going to use these stairs a little bit. Even though you're in a well, you can't out-tank them all. If you're not doing the damage, you still could die, but you can see I can take out all the Scions and everything. It means I don't need to back up to that back area yet. So we've dealt with phase 1 with a well, and we've got 60% towards our next one. So it's well worth doing, because you're going to get a well for phase 2 as well of the enemies. So the boss is shielded, of course. That's phase 1 of ads dealt with. The history of Corrupted's been different. I remember it taking like 6 orbs to take down the shield in the past. It's now 4. Like, I'm going way back, a long time ago. Now it's 4. As of now, it's 4. If you're minus 40, it might be 5 balls. It might be 6. I don't know. But as of now, on a standard minus 25 GM, it's 4 orbs. So you want to throw 3 orbs, pick up your 4th orb, and go to middle. Do not just throw that orb, because you've wasted damage. You've got to think of it as an opportunity to do damage, a window of time. You only have so long though, because the waves of enemy are not linked up to the boss's HP on this one at least. They spawn instantly. Well, not instantly. You've got a 5-second window of damage, so you can put 3-4 linear shots in and then get out of there as soon as. Because you've got to remember, the boss has one-shot capability on you, because Corrupted is bugged, has been for a long time. Even if you run double arc resist, tier 10 resilience, all that stuff, the boss has this weird thing of being able to one-shot you. There's a couple of theories out there, and I'll go over the couple of theories that people have said. Number 1, enemies have the ability to crit you, like we have an ability to crit them. I've heard a couple of people say that could be true. So say for example, Cydia hits you in the head with the arc blast attack, or considered hitting you in a crit spot, you're one shot, you're dead. Whereas if she hits you in the feet or the body, then it does according damage less. Don't know if that's true. People have said. I don't think it's that. I think it's distance. So I think the longer the distance of the attack that Cydia does, the more threatening it is. Because the only times I've ever been one-shot by this boss is at this back island. Now look at the distance between me and the boss. It seems to be the further the blast attack goes, the more damage it does. I've been one-shot a couple of times on this island. You've got to be so careful, right? So your goal is to not get hit even once. It's a risk if you get even hit once, because that one time could be a one-shot. And I've seen other footage of people getting one-shot by this boss. It's just a thing that this boss does, right? It's always been a thing. I've heard people getting one-shot through a banner shield. They had banner, and this boss killed them through their banner. So it's an unintended thing, I think, in my opinion. If it's intentional, it can't be. It won't be, because it would be just there's no rhyme or rhythm. It's like, oh, sometimes on a run you'll get one shot, sometimes you won't. No, that makes no sense. To me, it's just a coding thing. It's just something that's in this, and you've got to put up with it basically. But like I say, my experiences are I've only ever gotten one shot, maybe 3-4 times, but it's only happened on this back island. It hasn't happened to me on the final area of the boss room. Not to say that it wouldn't, because I've actually seen people get one shot there as well. I don't know. We'll never know really unless they say something. So with this ad phase, the less ads that they are, the more likely they are to hide. You'll definitely be down to the last couple of nights and they will hide forever. Just try and... Patience is a virtue on this bit. Like I said, because of the boss and what happens with the boss, I wouldn't push up to those stairs when there's knights up. You could die if there's so many knights alive. If it's one knight, one scion, yeah, you can push up to those stairs, and it means that you'll be able to kill them quickly, but they can do damage to you, whereas back here they can't. Another thing that I think, just quickly about Cydia, the one-shot thing, I think that there's grounded on. I think sometimes the game thinks that there's a grounded modifier on. So if you don't know, Nightfalls in the past would have an airborne mod thing. So if you're in the air, you take more damage. I think that's still a thing in the background as a secret modifier. in certain Nightfalls, and I think it is a thing that could be in this. Like even though you're standing, sometimes the game won't code you as standing because you could be standing on a pebble. Seriously, you could be standing on like some pebble and you're classed as being in air, and then you get one shot and stuff like that. We've had all of that sort of trouble in the past with grounded type Nightfalls, which is why they've probably done away with stuff like that. They've got airborne mods in the game now still, but it's not like the old grounded that used to be on. This phase, there's just moving rocks. That's fine. Make sure that you've got a well of Radiance and that for your 3 balls, you're going to get your 4th orb. You're going to come to this location, you're going to pre-pop a well. I recommend you pre-pop a well. You may as well. Well, it's kind of essential that you do if you want to do what I'm going to do right now. So we'll throw the orb, trying to wait for rocks. I've done it at the wrong time there, to be honest. But just put in your linear damage, get the boss to half HP, sit in your well, no matter what. Do not get out of that well, and wait for that taken portal. It's because the enemies are spawning, but as you can see, I get out there, and there's plenty of time on that. Yeah, so it's totally worth you just popping a well there. Definitely do it. Now we've got this transition area, right? This cliff zone. This is what really drags out the boss fight. I think if this part wasn't in it, Corrupted wouldn't feel as long. But having said that, I think Corrupted overall is a well-designed strike because at least it's got a lot of stuff going on. You've got these asteroids moving from your left and right. You've got the boss shooting at you. So it's an interesting GM. You can't deny it. It is. It's a bad strike. It's a bad strike for one reason, because when people are playing strikes, what do they want to do? They want to just get through it. So this is the worst. This is the worst strike in the world to run with team. They don't understand the orb mechanic. But when it's a GM and in a team, very good to farm in a team. It's interesting. It's fun, and the solo is always interesting because it steps up in difficulty compared to other GMs. So I still find it interesting. It's just drawn out a little bit. That's all. So I'm trying to take out any enemies I can and optimize before I jump up to the further islands, because the closer you get to the boss, like the island before the boss starts to shoot at you. And again, like I said, because of that distance travel time between me and the boss, I'm always frightened of a one-shot potential thing from the boss. Always. So I never play around with this boss at all. I'm waiting for this overload. You need to take down the Solar Knight first before dealing with the overload. Always isolate the enemies away from each other. And so I just do one with a hard shot, one grenade, and then just made sure I maintained my overload rounds at all times. Because if I didn't, I would get a second end range attack and might die to it. So you need to be on point with your overload. Because remember, the first overload shot from a scout is not classed or considered as overload per se, right? Just look at just look at when you first start shooting an overload. They enrage, like on the first, before the first done, because it takes a couple of shots to proc. We've got a good Riverhorde shot on this knight here. There's a knight and a sniper every island. The island after this one, though, there's going to be an unstoppable. Good thing about it, though, is this is what's good. The boss will only go to the next island once you've killed the knight and the sniper. The champion is not considered for that, which is good. Because if the champion was considered, you would have to actually push up onto the next island while the boss is there. That would be difficult, because then the boss does their ring attack, where they boop you off the map. And there's a whole host of things that can happen to you because of it. So, it's good. It's decent. All you've got to do is take down the Solar Knight. Now this is a good nade. I'm so unlucky. What a good bubble that is. It's a nice thing to see that when an ad does that. But it's also annoying at the same time. So yeah, your goal is to take down this Solar Knight and the sniper, which isn't difficult to do. What's going to annoy you is when they de-aggro. So look, they've de-aggroed now. But ads get bored, you see. There's this sort of intrinsic timer for enemies in the game where they eventually get bored, and then they just start randomly walking around and falling, especially they just start scouting the floor and all this stuff. Whereas taking them is they just wander around, so you'll see. Well, you won't see it like that per se, but they'll start to push out a cover after so long. But that's an opportunity for you when that happens. That's how you've got to look at it. So you can hide behind cover for a couple of seconds, peek back out, do a couple of shots until they push. So now the knight's starting to push. He's interested now, whereas before he wasn't. So I've got to get my damage in. Shield's broke. I'm going to just use a linear shot. I've got 11 shots, which is really on the low side. And if I don't get another heavy brick, then it could be an issue for the boss fight. I wouldn't say that you want any less than 10. Because because of how the boss is, you might miss a shot or two. It's just how it is, because the crit spot's tiny on Cydia, obviously. So, you know, if you're getting booped about, knocked about by this boss, because the boss does knock you about, you might struggle hitting your crits at times. But there's extra tips that can help you to make sure that you do hit your crits. And I don't mean be accurate. That's not constructive. What I mean is timing between Cydia's knockback attack. That's what you've got to master. You've got to bait out a knockback attack to then do damage right after, because there's a time, there's like say 8 seconds between each time she does. You could count it out in the video and know for sure. She does it every so often, yeah. So, but she can't do it back to back. She can't just do it once and then right away, like a second later. It's not part of her move. So the fact that we know that means that you can bait out one, throw your orb, then do DPS. Rather than doing DPS when she done her ring attack like 10 seconds ago. It means when you start to do crit damage, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get booped off map, which is going to be a problem. So you've got to learn the AI of this boss. It's even more important now on this small island. So it's very weird what they've done. It used to be that you have to step on the island in front lest you get no turn back zone. That's not the case, but that's not the case for every phase. You can stand on this island that I'm standing on for the first phase, but eventually when the knights come up and you take down a shield, you get no turn back zone. So it's weird. It's like they're giving you the other island to fight from, and then all of a sudden, oh, when knights come up, you're not allowed that zone. You've got to step on here. So that means you've got to have a super for that. And the knights will spawn after first shield break. After you've done your damage, after your first shield break, of course. So the orb to pick up is at the back of the map. It's not in middle, but it will be in middle later. The boss's AI is actually slightly different from now until the final phase. The boss more actively follows you along and wants to stomp you, basically. Yes, the boss does have a stomp, and it is a one-shot. Or it was in the past. I don't know what it is now, but I'm not going to... I don't want to find out right now. So, again, it's 4 orbs. What you need to understand is every time that knockback attack happens, don't jump. Because in this game, momentum, if you already have some momentum going and she does the knockback attack, you're going to gather more momentum, which means you're going to fall off map. So every time the knockback attack, if you're going to get hit by it, which you probably will, move towards her. Do the opposite of what you think. Move towards, slide into it in actual fact. That's a good strat. Or use Icarus Dash. That's where Icarus Dash comes in. If you're about to fall off map because you've done a bad play, you're not map rotating like I am, Icarus Dash will save you. That's why you use Icarus Dash. Don't use Heat Rising. I mean, you could, but like, it's totally not the play in my books. Icarus Dash all the way. Touch of Flames you build, of course. And we're really just obviously doing your orbs right now. So we're on the 4th. I'm just double checking it. I don't want to mess up. We've got a well. Don't make the mistake of using a well for DPS. You need to use the well for ad clear in an ad clear way. You will survive a lot in your well. Not everything though, mind. So you need, once you're in your well, you need to be aggressive enough with your nades and stuff. And you need to pay attention to the knockback attack, because you'd think sitting in a well isn't ideal on here. And before I started this one, I was like, well's going to be poor. I'd rather have a Roman super, but it worked out fine because I've got Icarus on. So we're pitching up. This is what I would say. I'm pitching up for damage, and then you're going to get your crits in. As much crits as possible. If you can get a Witherhoard shot, do it. If you see the boss is visibly still. We've done our DPS. DPS is over. Now we're going to get a super down. A well, sorry. Our well was late. The game was fortunate. I was lucky a little bit there, but generally what you would have done is popped a well at full HP. But all I was doing there was trying to get a little closer to the knights because I know that they spawn down at the bottom end of the map. But that well right there, what I've just done, has actually cleared out the 4 or 5 sounds that spawn. You need to kill them right away because they will duplicate if you run away from them. So you might be dealing with 10 if you don't do anything. So you've got to do something and get your 2 knights with the fusion grades. It's going to do massive damage. Because we've only got Solar as a scout. Scout's doing nothing. Don't worry about Scout. Use your nades because you obviously got Starfire and Witherhoard to get the grenade energy back. But you can see how the well has helped me to survive that critical phase. It's a critical phase, seriously. If you have to start doing map rotation and you've messed your well up and there's still a knight up, or you're going to find it difficult. You're just going to have to keep running around the map, wait for a nade, every now and then nade a captain and then run away. You can't stand your ground for any length of time when there's a captain up if you have no well. And a healing rift you won't survive in that either. But you can run around until you get a well again. You're safe. You're quite safe in this if you just keep running. The boss will hit you from time to time, and again there is that case of potential one-shot bug, but for the most part you're quite safe. It's just learning that boop move. Once you've learned that knockback move, you're not gonna die. Like right there, I just single jumped. Don't activate all your jump and stuff when she does that knockback, because you just you're just asking to drift off the map very slowly, especially on a Warlock. So you don't want to do that. Always, like I say, slide or go back into the move like that. So face towards. Because the knockback does no damage really. It's not the damage that you're worried about off that. It's the momentum that you get off the move, meaning that you fall off map. And use the orb as well. Orb swinging will negate the knockback if you time the animation at the same time. So use that. Any class can do that, I suppose, as well. So you've got that as well. I could have waited out a well, which to be honest maybe should have done, because I'm 65-70%. And when I break the shield, of course, there's going to be 2 extra waves. There's going to be 2 extra champions, 2 extra Solar Knights and a Scion wave. If you don't do enough damage to the boss in, say, 5 seconds, 5 to 10, then you're going to have to deal with those 2 Solar Captains. And if you don't have a well, like I've just said, you probably might wipe without invisibility, and if you don't know what you're doing. Or there's a chance of it, a good chance. So, I should have waited out a well here. I was a little impatient. But still got enough, still got it in. We baited out the ring attack, missed our Witherhoard shot because the boss is all over the place. We'll get some linear damage in, but look at what happened there, right? If you notice, I got knocked by the boss, but Witherhoard and Slot GL stopped the attack. That's what makes Witherhoard best in slot for this, especially against City. It stopped me from getting booped there and allowed me to do the damage and finish off the boss. But that was a solo GM on a Warlock. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.